Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. I wound up having to do some research on artificial intelligence last night. I was quite frankly astonished to learn what I learned. First of all, Dr. Michio Kaku. I always love his lectures. I'm a big fan of his. And he basically said that when we deal with artificial intelligence, whether it's ChatGPT, Grammarly, whatever the hell else you're using to make your life easier, he said you're using a glorified calculator. In the past, he has said that you're dealing with a mentally challenged cockroach in terms of intelligence. And I looked at that at first and I said, well, that's certainly not what they're claiming online. So I dug a little deeper because that's what Silverlight does. And he is true. And what he says is true. The actual calculating power required to run a ChatGPT, whatever it is, there's new ones coming out because the technology has been pioneered. The technology is actually pretty primitive. It's associating phrases that we use to become appropriate responses for others. Omegle, the website, used to do this. They just shut down. And they would basically simulate a conversation by having multiple, let's say 100 people in a chat room. And it would mix up the responses. So let's say I'm talking to person A and we're talking about golf. Must be a dreadfully dreary conversation. And then it would switch me to person B. And person B, who doesn't realize I just said, I think if you shoot an 80, you're doing pretty well. And person B, who is talking to somebody else about something else, says, I don't think that's very good at all. Well, why would you say that? I say back to person B. And person B explains their reasons. And then they switch to person C. So while you can get some hilarious things in there, the truth is we're just training these chatbots to realize, hey, if this person's talking about golf, I better put in a reference to, Jack Nicholson or somebody like that. That's all these chatbots and Grammarly and all that sort of thing are doing. It's a clever trick. And it's something that they are learning to do very quickly. This leads us into the whole field of artificial intelligence. How is it then that artificial intelligence is poised in the next few years, according to the BBC website? Their minister, I forget the minister's name, I'm sorry, I had to go to sleep and wake up since then. Their minister is predicting a loss of 300 million jobs worldwide. Yeah, that's a loss. And this will 48% affect the administration center, 46% affect accounting. Now, these are special jobs. These are things people train years to do. The jobs that are predicted to be unaffected or to grow is construction and janitorial services. Well, I'm sorry, but construction and janitorial services can't absorb 300 million jobs. There's just not that much up there because construction is a limited field. First of all, if you're a 60-year-old accountant, you get laid off because artificial intelligence can do your job now. I don't think you're picking up a hammer or some plumbing or anything else. Those jobs are brutal. I've done them part-time, full-time, etc. in my lifetime. And it is a young man's game. Yes, you want an older man in charge, older woman, whoever's the foreperson, Please forgive me, child of the 70s, and I still struggle to get along in the 21st century, but I'm trying. Give me credit for trying. Now, their countering was saying, oh, when all these people are freed up, they'll come up with all sorts of wonderful new applications. Nah, life don't work that way. I was sold this bill of goods at the beginning of the information age. And you know what? The only thing that happened is it made wages worse. Wages have not gone up significantly in the past 20 years. And I have some charts that show it's the past 40 years. And again, you're a 60-year-old accountant. He's not sitting back and thinking, what can I do to make money off of this? What can I do to make a new killer app? They're thinking, how can I get another job in accounting? And if you dry those jobs up, people aren't magically going to become creative because they've made their bed. One of my relatives is in college right now trying to upgrade his skills. Now, he's in a field I don't think can be replaced by artificial intelligence. I stand to be corrected because part of his job is assembling experiments, putting data together. I won't tell you in exactly what field, but as you know, that can be easily replicated by artificial intelligence. What's he going to do? He spent tens of thousands of dollars on his education, which at the beginning looked like a good idea. And now looks like a much poorer investment. Whose fault is that? Not his. He lived out his dream. He got to post-secondary. He got a STEM degree, which we are all told, science, technology, education, and math are never going to go anywhere. But watch out. Here comes artificial intelligence. It can do the same thing for you. How do you replace 300 million jobs lost? And that's an estimate. 300 million jobs. For the record, the population of the United States is about 380 million people. So that's every man, woman, and child, retired person, disabled person, all losing their job. How does that affect the world economy, do you think? Oh, and that's the other thing. They predict that artificial intelligence will be able to produce about 7% more goods than we currently do. How is this benefiting anybody? You're causing wage depression. You're causing loss of jobs. It's fantastic you can buy 7% more than you used to be able to, but if you don't have any money, what good does it do anybody? Artificial intelligence does hold promise, but we need to think of the people first. If my local pizzeria is selling pizzas for $10 each, it doesn't do me any good if I got $5 in my pocket. And it's the same with the economy. Oh, great. People can afford cars that are 10% cheaper, just for a nice even number, but they can't afford the down payment for the cars. And this is where I feel the economic analysis is not going through. They keep hanging on to this caveat that's saying, oh, these unemployed people are going to make their own jobs. Yeah, they were saying that before the year 2000, that the information economy was going to let everybody free to develop their own businesses. Didn't happen then. Now that jobs and money are both harder to come by, it's not going to do it again. When we reach to that perfect Star Trek, The Next Generation world where there's plenty for everybody, you can wake up and have a sonic shower and then, decide for dinner you're going to have beef bolognese with a nice red wine. Maybe then we can start talking about putting AIs out to do most of the heavy work. Until then, we need to think about how to keep people employed. Because like I said, you take 300 million jobs out of the world economy, and probably more. That was just an educated guess based off a study. Let's look at Uber for a second. Uber opened up more jobs. Absolutely. But this wasn't for skilled drivers. I mean, I know the Golden Horseshoe territory like nobody else. Uber is not going to pay me what I need to run around because we've taken care of the navigation. We've taken care of the fares. All you have to do is give us a lower rate. So instead of $10 to go across the road, which a courier would probably charge about $50, we're going to do it for $10. And now you get these, don't want to castigate Uber drivers in a bad light. Now you get these people running around without the proper insurance on their cars, picking up and dropping other people, and that's considered an improvement? To say nothing that Uber drivers had to learn to game the system. The first fare that comes up, you reject it because the second one that comes up, the exact same fare, it is going to be at a much more favorable rate to you. This is a serious problem that they have, and that's part of the algorithm. I'm going to give you the lowest possible that I can and then negotiate upwards. Who did that make their lives better? Is Uber a valid, job to pursue if you have to? I'm not saying it isn't, and I'm not making fun of Uber drivers. What I am making fun of is this race to the bottom that we all found ourselves on. That's unacceptable. We need something so that people can make a living wage. I'm not saying everybody should have steak and lobster every day. I'm just saying they should be able to say, hey, this weekend I'm going to go out with my friends and we're going to go to a fancy restaurant. Or if I save a little bit of money, I can go visit my parents, my grandparents, my whatever parents. That's called a living wage, where you're not eating beans as rice, as tasty as I find beans and rice. It's just not the same as having financial security. And getting rid of these people that currently have financial security, that's going to be one of the biggest problems AI inflicts on the human race. With that, we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please like, share. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Click the bell icon down below, and that way you'll be notified every time a new episode comes out. And we hope you have a fantastic day.